Hello everyone, welcome to a lap guide for Interlagos this week, and let's get into it. So for turn 1, I'm going up against the wall here, leaving about a tire width. You don't have to go all the way to the wall because you don't want to brake on this grass. But anyways, I'm braking basically in between the 50 and the 100 board, starting to lift right after the 100 board. You just really don't want to brake too late here because it's really easy to get into the ABS because you're going downhill. And you're aiming to get right completely on this curb, and you want your tires to be like even just clipping the grass here a little bit when you're opening up the throttle. And you can really cut this curb, but super important here that you're not overshooting the first part of this chicane, because if you end up on the right side, you're really going to compromise this section because there's a long straight up ahead and you're just going to bleed time. But also here I'm doing a slight lift and I'm short shifting into third gear to help keep the rear stable. And I'm arriving on this curb here. There's a higher portion of the curb and a lower portion. You want to stick to the lower portion here. It'll help get you around this corner a little easier, and you'll travel the shortest distance, and you'll save a little bit of lap time. Coming to this left-hander, I start lifting well before the 100 and kind of when this drainage thing starts, and I start braking like at the end of this wall or after the 100 or this pit road. You really have a lot of references you can use here. You just need to find what works for you. And also, I'm not like lined up against the white line right away because as you can see it's straight here, but once you get here it goes a bit to the right, and if you kind of go diagonally here you can open up this corner a little bit more. Again, you don't want to go on this high part here, stay on the low. Trying to get back on the power before this exit road here. And this is pretty much the limit for the off track. I wouldn't go any further than this. I'm surprised I didn't get it here, to be honest. Again, travel the shortest distance, following the inside. Coming into here, I'm using this green, I think it's a Marshall post on the left-hand side here for my braking reference. Very gentle braking here, and you really don't want to be aggressive here. You can easily lose the rear here. But for the first part, I'm just aiming to touch this inside curb here. I'm downshifting into third gear in the Ferrari, and I'm just really important to be patient here. It's really easy to push wide if you're too early on the throttle. But basically, once I'm past this, the first part of this green Astro on the right, that's when I begin building the power up, aiming a little bit this second curb here as well. And then once I'm arriving on this left curb here, I want to start lifting and braking. I'm also right on the limit of the off track here. Really, any further than this and you'll get it. But you also want to be kind of slow on your initial brake pressure because you're going to have some steering angle while you're braking. So again, it's really easy to get into the ABS. So you need to be kind of gentle. And also super important here, you want to cut all of this curb even to this inside portion, but you want to aim to cut like here. You don't want to start turning in here because it's really easy to get the off track here if you turn in too early. So you really want to focus on a late apex here and just cut this part only. I build up to 100% throttle really briefly, and then just before I'm arriving to this curb, I just use very little brake to slow the car down a little bit. Again, following this lower darker portion of the curb all the way around. I'm also short shifting into second gear as well, just to help the rears in the Ferrari. Here you have a couple of braking references you can use. You have the curb on the right side just before, or these red and white lines on the left just as they're ending. Again, super gentle on the brakes because you're going to naturally have more steering angle here into this corner. Aiming for another kind of later apex here alongside the lower portion of the curb once again. And you really want to be progressive on your throttle application. It's very easy to lose the rear in a Ferrari if you're too aggressive here. And then I'm just bringing the car slightly over to the middle to help prepare this corner, this next portion, which is flat out as well. You just want to make sure you're kind of hugging this white line a little bit for a little bit of rotation. I do a small lift here. It was just kind of a comfort lift. It's not really required. Once the tires are warmed up, this is pretty easily flat, but on the cold tires, be careful. It's can be pretty dangerous here. Then for the final corner, probably the most important, you kind of want to have the white line in the middle of the car. Any more over here and you'll get the off track. It's pretty sensitive. So, even during qualifying, it's probably better just to be a bit more safe and just slightly be to the left. You don't want to ruin your laps here. And then basically once I'm finished with this curb here, that's when I begin my braking. Again, cutting this inside curb, but you want to just really cut no more than I did here because it's a bit bumpy here and it can unsettle the car and you can lose some time on the exit. And then all along through here, you just want to stay to the left side. You'll travel a shorter distance. Again, close to the wall here and then finally past the tire barrier. And yeah, that's a guide for Interlagos. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.